Welcome, welcome. This is our very first inaugural community call, and this is set up so that we do a mini training, and then you all are able to ask me any questions, and then we will also do some networking. Everybody will have a chance to introduce themselves. We'll go around the room. You'll also share what your expertise is that you speak on, because one of the best things that you can do is also to build relationships with other speakers. Jessica, since I just spoke for your group, Jessica is not going to have me come back next year, but she might have me come back in 2 years. She might be looking for somebody who speaks on a similar or adjacent topic. She might ask me, Laurie-Ann, do you know anybody? Of course I do, because I'm always building relationships with other speakers. So to be able to build relationships with speakers so that you can literally refer each other. So that works for everybody who is here. So today, the training is about your pre-event meeting. If you don't do a pre-event meeting, it's a sign that you're a newbie. And so I never want anybody who's in my speaker circle to ever come across as a newbie. And I have had clients who are brand new to speaking, like they have not even done their very first speaking event. And of course, I'm going to have them do a pre-event meeting with the event coordinator, with the meeting planner, with the conference organizer. And this particular woman that I'm thinking of, she had her meeting. She handled it like a pro. The woman who was arranging the conference said, "We don't pay our speakers, but what I can do for you is comp your room for 3 nights." She felt like it was a win-win situation. First off, a lot of meeting planners or conference organizers, especially if you have a volunteer group, they may not understand how to work with speakers. So your job as the speaker who is considering speaking at their event, because remember, you probably haven't said yes yet, you want to have this meeting so that you know if this is the right situation for you. So you will simply tell them, here's my booking link so that you can book some time on my calendar so that we can have a conversation about your event. I would like you to have them come over to your calendar as opposed to you going to their calendar for a couple of reasons, because I want you to collect some data first. So on your appointment, on your calendar link, to be able to ask some questions, such as some basic things like the date, the time, the location. Is this on Zoom? Is it an in-person event? The location. I get this question a lot. How do I know if they have a budget for speakers? How do I know what to charge for speaking? And if you can get them to come onto your calendar link and answer this application, you can ask the question, what is your budget for speakers? And that's plural. The reason why you want to find out what their budget is for speakers is you might be able to actually fill in a couple of slots. There was an event that I was hired for. I did ask them what their budget was for speakers. I was going to be their keynote speaker. And I said, well, while I'm already there, do you need any breakout session speakers? And they said, yes. So I was actually able to be their keynoter along with a breakout session. And what I did in the breakout session is I did more group coaching based on my keynote and answered all of their questions. But to the conference organizer, that was like, wow, that's one less speaker that I have to try and find and book, and they're staying within their budget. So those are just some questions that'll be able to help you, like that date, time, location, and you'll know whether or not you should even go on to having the pre-event meeting, because you may already be booked for that day. You could be on vacation. You might be at another in-person event. If it's a virtual event and you are booked, you might be able to do both of those virtual events depending on the situation. But now we're going to get you onto the meeting with the meeting planner or the conference organizer. Some of the things that you'll want to know is, how many attendees are they planning? You want to know how many people are going to be in the audience. That way, if you are selling something in the back of the room or you have some sort of a handout, you're not going to be surprised by, like I only have 50 and there's actually 500 people that I'm speaking in front of. So audience size, time for the presentation. How long do they want you to speak for? Is it just 15 minutes? Is it 30, 45, an hour? Anything over an hour in the speaking world, we consider to be a workshop. And so you'll want to handle that workshop a little differently. You might need to do some sort of an exercise with the audience. So, how long is your presentation? Q&A. Does the meeting coordinator, do they want you to have a Q&A session? And how long is that Q&A session that they would like? It is your job as the speaker to let them know that you will include that. And I'll just use this as an example. Let's just say they say 15 minutes, which is usually the average. I would tell them that I will have a 15-minute Q&A session, and it will be just before I close my speech. And here's why. You never, ever, ever, ever want to have a Q&A at the very end of your speech. And you probably have seen this hundreds of times. If that last person asks a very complicated, long-winded question, you could go overtime on your time slot. Somebody could also ask you a question that has nothing to do with what you were speaking on. And you might be up there saying, I'm not sure how to answer that. There are going to be people in the audience who weren't even listening to the question, and they're going to be like, can't believe she didn't know the answer to that question. I want you to have the Q&A in your speech, and then you will close. It's also a great way to control the conversation. Have they had previous speakers? And who have they had as previous speakers? This allows you to go look up the sort of caliber of speaker that this organization or this corporation or this membership, this private community is used to having. And that also lets you know, once you start getting more and more into speaking, you'll be able to tell they're definitely a paid speaker. How did they find you? This is a great question for that appointment questionnaire, but I always still like to ask people, how did you find me? Is there a particular speech that you're interested in me presenting? Next, I would also encourage you to ask, what's the problem or obstacle that the audience is currently experiencing? This is going to help you decide, are you the right person to actually speak and address this issue? If not, it's always a great time to say, you know what? I might not be the perfect person for this event, but I do know somebody that you should consider. So always make sure that you are speaking to the right audience, the right people, the right problem, and never speak for the sake of speaking, because we always want your audience to remember you, to rave about you, and most importantly, we always want them to refer you to other people. So what's the problem that this audience is experiencing that has compelled them to reach out to you, that the audience needs some sort of a presentation? And this is a great question for any sort of situation. Associations, professional trades, conferences, private communities. Next would be, what would make this a successful event in your opinion? Being able to hear, this is what we want. I always like to leave my audience with some gold nuggets, actionable steps, stuff that they can do right away. And most meeting planners will say something like, we want our audience inspired. We need them to take action, because the more action that an audience actually takes, the better off that you're going to get referred. People are going to be talking about you and they're going to call you back. Also, once you've decided that this is a perfect event for you to speak at, is to instruct the meeting planner, this is how I work. This is what it's like to work with me. And just basically just sharing with them the step-by-step process and what they can expect from you and what you'll need from them. And then ask them, what do you need from me? and let them share. We need a title, we need a headshot, we need your introduction. And you can just let them know, okay, I'll get all of this out to you within the next 48 hours. I'll send over my contract. It will explain like what the payment is, the investment, or a proposal. It's all up to you, like what your process is. But what do you need from me? And then I always love to dazzle my meeting planners. And I like to share with them, would you like me to do some sort of promotional video? And most of the time, like if it's an association, they'll be like, yes, I would love for you to do that because they'll send it out in their emails. And you can just do it as a YouTube video, make sure it's nice and shareable. And I literally just have a script that I use each time that I do one of these. But I'll do them as private videos or public videos. It depends on the association and how comfortable they feel with their branding and their logos being used publicly. Hopefully that gave you a lot to think about. What questions do you have now? This is your chance. Let's see. Jessica says, loved how you sent us upper left ladies, your name, pronunciation as well. Simple. Yes. Yes. Thank you. And I always let people know, and I probably told you this, that I will send you an introduction a week before the presentation. This way, whoever's introducing me will have an opportunity to read the introduction a few times. But Jessica, if I was in person, I would still send that. And I always let them know I will have a copy on hand. Now, the copy that I bring with me will be in font size 24. It will be really big font. It's short, sweet, and it will be on yellow or bright pink paper. This way, it's hard for me to lose it, but it's also once I hand it to the person who's introducing me, it's hard for them to lose it. And I've gotten so many compliments on, thank you for the yellow paper, thank you for the big font, and the phonetic pronunciation of my last name. Who else has a question? Just feel free to unmute and ask away.
How might you prepare for like a panel, like if you're speaking on a panel of different people?
Okay. So I would still have some sort of a pre-event meeting with the coordinator and ask them who else is going to be on the panel with me. So that now you're writing down their names so that you can also do some research on them. Because Sean, in your industry, what would be so slick is for you to actually know some history about the other people that you're sharing the panel with so that you could almost answer the question. But I also know that Bob Smith has done a very similar project to this or has written a paper or something that he could add more value to this question. Like
Right.
that's something that I think that you could do really well. Other than that, will they give you the questions? Are
Hmm.
they going to decide what the questions are ahead of time? So that would be another great question to ask during your pre-event meeting.
Didn't think of that.
Because sometimes they already have those questions. Who else? Let's see. Aria, did you want to speak up or are you maybe in a situation that you can't? Because I'll read what you wrote. She said, yes, I always create a group chat with the panel and then I do get to know you call with everyone. And that's that way the chemistry is really good on stage. Lovely. That is being like the perfect hostess. The perfect meeting planner.
I'm curious recommendations or strategies you might have, and this is Jessica for the audio, for getting booked again or like follow up for after speaking with an organization, because I've spoken with some groups that I would love to speak with again, and maybe we've stayed in touch, or maybe we haven't. But I know there are things I could do, of course, just checking in with them. But yeah, curious about any like follow up strategies.
Sure. That is a great question and a popular question. And give me some context here. Like, I want you to think of one of the events that you would love to return to, and how long ago was that event?
Okay, yes, this was an organization that was an incubator or like it was an accelerator for entrepreneurs that was originally in Oregon, but it's turned into like across the country. And we did a workshop about social media and marketing. And I did end up booking a client from it that came in like this year, even though it was like 2 years ago.
Mhm. That was
And
so that event was 2 years ago, is what you're saying.
I think it was 2 years ago. Yes.
All right, this is the perfect time for you actually to be reaching back out to them because, as I said in the beginning, like you wouldn't want me to come back next year, but you might want to have me come back in 2 years. So you spoke for them 2 years ago. I would definitely just reconnect with them. And it could be something as simple as, and I've been doing some other speaker breakthrough sessions that are also recorded on my podcast as episodes that typically come out on Thursday. And it could be as simple as, hey, Mary, I can't believe it's been 2 years since I spoke at your conference and put the name in of the conference. I cannot believe it's been 2 years. It's like I blinked and 24 months just whipped by. I mean, just something that you're just reconnecting with people. So much has changed on my end, and I'm sure so much has changed over in your world. I would love to chat with you and just open that door and start having that conversation. Or you could literally say, because you've already spoken for them, and I bet since you want to go back there, that you also got rave reviews. I had so much fun speaking at your event 2 years ago. I would love to have a conversation with you about maybe coming back because I have a new presentation that has been very well received. And not giving too much information, literally making this a very short, sweet email. We are opening the door to having the conversation. Does that help you, Jessica? Good.
Yes. Thank you.
Who else has a question?
If nobody else, I have a question about how much do you ask in terms of the logistics? Like, will there be a mic? What, like how big is the room? Like even if it's 100 people, it could be a really long room. How much do you get into the, more the nitty gritty so that you don't go in there and go, oh, I'm not going to reach the people in the back.
Yes, yes. That's a great question. So this was like your pre-event meeting. And if you decide, like if you literally walk into this pre-event meeting knowing that this is the perfect place for me to speak, then like you've already decided like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So towards the end, here's what happens next, and you just share with them. But I have some questions about the room. Have you decided what room this event is going to be taking place in? Do they have a diagram of the room? Do they have any pictures? If it's at a hotel, then the hotel could probably send you pictures of the room.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend always getting to the event the day before. I like to arrive the day before and go and check the room that I am speaking in. Now, there was once that I spoke at a local country club, and there were these giant pillars in the front of the room. At any time, somebody in the room couldn't see me, depending on if I was in the right or the left, because this pillar was that big. So what do you do in that situation? You just labeled the elephant in the room. And I just had to say something about this giant pillar. And I knew ahead of time that I was going to have to say something about it. But then the audience feels like I'm still trying to do my best and connect with everybody. It just meant that I would spend a few minutes on one side and then I would move over to the other side of the room and spend a few minutes there. That way the audience just kept seeing me. And I tried to minimize, the amount of time that they couldn't see me because of the darn pillar. But that's a great question. Thank you for asking.
I have a
And
question.
go ahead.
So you had mentioned in the pre-speaking meeting that you asked what their budget is for speakers. Do you in that meeting talk about what you would be paid, or do you ask in that meeting about what they're going to pay you specifically, or does that come after? And how do you come up with a price?
Okay. I have a speaker fee because I've been speaking for so long, like here's what my fee is. But that's not always the case. Some organizations, they just don't have either a budget for speakers or a big budget for speakers. So in this particular situation, when this particular organization, it was a local event. I agreed to speak for them because I'd also spoken for them for this association once before. I had a little bit of history with these people. And one of the things that they let me do is, they gave me a referral to other places, pictures, video, like there's an exchange of value, and it's not always in the form of a check. I could sell my book in the back of the room. I hope that that helps. So I do have a speaker fee. So here's something else, and I probably should do an entire training on this as well. Big corporations and also big associations have multiple budgets for different things. So what I mean by that is an organization might not be able to pay me my speaker fee because here's their budget for speakers for this event that's already been decided, but they do have a education fund. They do have a gift fund, and they can tap into those budgets. I do have 2 published books, and they'll buy a copy of my book for everybody who's going to be there. That's a gift. Now, my book is self-published, so I am making money there. So sometimes I can actually, if not make my speaker fee, exceed my speaker fee because of these other budgets that we're able to tap into. But that's a conversation that you end up having with them during this like pre-event meeting. I would send like a proposal. Here's just me speaking. Here's me speaking plus books. Here's me speaking plus books plus a follow-up webinar, a follow-up Q&A session. So then, if you've listened to episode 15 is about the power of 3 and why my proposals have 3 choices. It's got everything to do with neuroscience, and the human brain just loves to have a choice. And giving somebody 3 makes the human brain feel, I can make a choice which one I want. But that was a great question. Thank you. Okay. Tell everybody like who you are. Remember, this is going on to the podcast. And let them know like if you have a podcast, but more importantly, I want you to share what your expertise is that you speak on. That way everybody can hear. And then if somebody wants to reach out to you, please feel free to include like your email address. Let me if you can verbally say it, that way, if there's anybody who's listening to this on the podcast, it'll be super easy for them to find you, either an email address, a website, or maybe some sort of social media. Who would like to go first?
I'm happy to go first.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jessica Ilani, and I have 2 businesses. I have Style Opal Media, which is a social media and online communications agency for purpose-driven brands and entrepreneurs. And then Upper Left Ladies is my community of spiritual women and femme entrepreneurs and leaders. And I speak on a few things. I love to speak on mindful marketing, social media, and tailoring your marketing strategy to who you are and your energy and creating it in a way that works for you versus cookie cutter strategies you've seen other people do or think you should do. I also speak on community building, community versus audience. Those are a couple of mine. And I have a podcast, Opal Social, as well. And my podcast, my email is Jess, JYSS, at styleopal.com.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Amy, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Amy Terepka, and I have also 2 businesses. The first is Groundwater Healing, where I offer body work and energy work and reconnection sessions to help bring you into more connection with your energy and with the wisdom of your body. And the Golden Stone Wisdom School, which is where I teach people how to live through the magic of life with connection with earth consciousness and the consciousness of your body. And I speak also on many different topics, but I love speaking about the integration of body and spirit and living a spiritually embodied life. I love talking about connecting with plant spirit medicine, non-psychedelic plant spirit medicine, and how anyone can do that from anywhere with any plant. And I also love to talk about the seasonal rhythms and living in a rhythmic, cyclical way with the earth. And
Nice.
my email is Amy at groundwaterhealing.com, and my website is groundwaterhealing.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Sean.
Okay, I'm the oddball in that I don't own my own business, but I'm a business development manager for a company called Dife. But I'm an expert in renewable energy. I've been in renewable energy for over 17 years. I've been in the energy industry much longer than that. Uh, we have talked with Laurie a little bit, and I've been very, familiar with her podcast and her work in trying to use those skills because our salespeople do get the opportunity to speak at events and speak on panels. And many times it's not the exact same exchange of, of a fee for speaking. Sometimes it's the other way around, but the message is the same. And I've already, got a good few tips here today. But I do speak outside of my work with the company. I do speak on renewable energy occasionally, and I've done presentations for education and so forth. My email is sho@deif.com, and been looking forward to hearing what people who have their own businesses, how much of this can translate and does translate. And I'm still working my way through all of the podcasts, but it's this has already been helpful.
Good. I'm glad. And you're also very big on LinkedIn. So you can also find Sean Hogan over on LinkedIn.
I am Angie Coley. I'm a marketing expert. I like to call myself a marketing coach because I feel like we've got enough marketing strategists and fractional CMOs in the world. No shade to anybody that fits that description, but not everybody needs to go that deep. Most people, I think, need just a basic understanding of how to market better using their own stories. I have a podcast that Laurie-Ann has been on called Permission to Kick Ass. And the things that I love talking about, simplifying the hell out of your marketing, using your own stories to push your products, knowing how to tell those stories and when to tell those stories. I'm going to preemptively bleep the next thing I say. Bleep your formulas. I'm tired of marketing formulas. They don't work for 90% of cases. And if you invite me on stages, I will rant about all of these things and teach you a much better way. You can check me out at angiecoley.com, angiecolee.com, or permissiontokickass.com. And I would love it if you checked out the podcast too.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Tressa, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Hi, you actually did pronounce it correctly. Hi, everyone. I am Tressa Harley. I am a payer relations expert. I founded MD Office Insights to help healthcare administrators maximize reimbursement from health insurers. I help practice managers and those in the provider space. They will seek me out when they have a large, massive AR that they need to get reduced and they don't know how to do that. I help with claim denials. I will help with contract renewals and anything policy related, just all things payer relations. And I do it in the form of laser coaching so that it doesn't seem like it's a big, massive and major project because no one has time for that to do that. So every time you get kind of the next step and you're able to go out and you start to see results very quickly, think kind of Wendy Rhodes from the show Billions. That's what I do. Again, it's MD Office Insights.
And you have so many medical and healthcare associations. I mean, I'm right outside of Boston. It's a medical mecca. So you are not at a short for you. You do not lack speaking opportunities. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Aria, are you in a position that you can unmute and chat and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Aria Lighty. I am the networking queen. I've been mastering the art of intentional networking for over 20 years. And I am a visibility strategist and the founder of the F Up Media, brings visibility resources to more women, people of color, and queer folk to get us on more stages, media platforms, and in more rooms, and making sure that we're doing it authentically and in our fullness. And I speak on building impactful and reciprocal communities, intentional networking, of course, and diversifying your visibility strategies off of social media. And I have a signature offer that I bring to a lot of conferences, which is a networking kickoff. And I help attendees understand how to navigate the time at the conference, how to build really powerful relationships while they're there. And it's proven to increase repeat ticket sales. A lot of people come back and note that that helped them get the most out of the conference experience. So you can contact me at hello@arialady.com. And I also love DMs on Instagram, and that's just my name @arialady.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this. You'll get an email with a link to sign up for the next month, which happens to be, it's a Tuesday at noon. It's a June 18th. So I hope that you're able to join. And I'm sure that one of the things that I said, that would be a great other training, will probably be the topic of discussion next month. So till then, I hope that you all have a fabulous evening, and thank you so much for joining. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this personalized small group training, which we started off calling the community call, and we're going to be calling it the speaker circle. So I hope that you're able to join us next time, and you can sign up at speakandstandout.com/community, and you can sign up for the next month that is available. So till next time, I want you to be in demand. Are you tired of hearing crickets on social media? Wondering where to get seen by the right people? Or frustrated with the growth of your business? Then the Speaker Breakthrough Session is just for you. During this free 20-minute discovery call, I'll help you recognize where you're leaving money and opportunity on the table. You'll walk away with tips and a strategy to leverage speaking opportunities to get positioned as the expert, visible to the right people, and monetize your expertise. Book your call at speakandstandout.com/SBS for Speaker Breakthrough Session.